excited about our next conversation. One of the most important parts of our federal government, the U.S. Secretary of the Interior is here, Doug Burgum. Secretary Burgum, welcome back to the show, sir.
Scott, great to be with you, and happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday, my friend. Although I know Friday doesn't mean anything to you because you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I see you out there all the time.
Well, I do, and I'm honored to be working for a president that works 7 days a week for the American people too, and only he doesn't need any sleep. He's quite something.
I know, it's kind of shocking. A guy's like functioning on 3 hours of sleep. I'd be a mess, but not the president. All right, let's talk about the president, Secretary Burgum. He just got back from Davos, and while he was there, one of the biggest stories was this deal that he announced over getting more U.S. control over Greenland. Obviously, he's been making the case that we need control over Greenland for national security purposes. Based on the deal that's been announced by the president, based on the conversations going on with the Europeans, are you satisfied that what the president has worked out is going to be enough to get us what we need for national security purposes on Greenland?
Well, we've never had a deal maker in chief like President Trump, and he knows what's important for the American people. He knows what's important for national security. He knows what's important for our economy. He knows what's important for world peace. And he brings, all of the power and capability of the United States to those negotiations. He's always negotiating from strength, not weakness. And in this case, I have every confidence. I mean, when he says we're going to have total access, and we've had that indefinitely, I'm confident that he's going to get a deal that's great for the security of all Americans. And like we have always been the backbone of NATO, the biggest funder of NATO, it's going to be great for all of our NATO allies as well.
Am I reading this wrong, or did President Trump start out on this Greenland thing offering Denmark and the people of Greenland a boatload of cash, and we wound up getting more control of Greenland than we had, a deal on critical minerals, and we did it for nothing, and that was what they decided to do? Am I reading this incorrect, that Donald Trump basically got us what we wanted and we didn't have to spend any money on it?
Yeah, I think so, and what you're this is the classic thing. Everyone, President Trump, when he gets involved in deal making, he always gets more than everyone thinks is possible. And in this case, I'm certain that he struck a great deal for America. And again, as we look back on this last year, President Trump's his whole strategy around energy dominance, this idea that we're going to be able to, that energy is the backbone of the economy, it's the backbone of national security. And he also understands how the nature of national security is changing because now whether the wars that are going on right now, Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, conflict, this is all autonomous. I mean, you're not hearing any stories about pilots being shot down in these wars because it's unmanned versus unmanned. And Greenland, of course, like Alaska, like the shortest route from China and Russia to America is over the North Pole. If we're going to have a Golden Dome that works for America, we've got to have our missile defense, early warning detection on Greenland like we do in Alaska. And, of course, China, with their Belt and Road initiative around the world, they show up, they say, hey, we'll give you a loan, and then they send 20,000 workers that live there permanently. They never leave. In a small place like Greenland with only 50,000 people living there, and Denmark's unable to defend the thing. President Trump's completely right about that. You could wake up one day and find out that either China or Russia has taken it by force. President Trump is not going to let that happen. It's part of the Western Hemisphere. It's critical to the defense of the United States of America, and he's working on all the right things to do it. And at the same time, back home, inflation's down, gas prices are way down, mortgages down, border crossings zero, regulations down, taxes down, murder rates down, and job growth, paychecks, investment in America, and energy production all at record highs. So, I mean, he's delivering on an agenda where with the energy dominance, when we can sell energy to our friends and allies around the world, including Europe, we're the biggest supplier. We've displaced 2/3 of Russian gas going into Europe. He's calling the shots. He's calling the shots because they need us. They need us not only for protection, they need us to get their homes heated through the winter. Otherwise, they're buying from Russia.
Let's talk about the energy piece that you just referenced. Obviously, the administration under your leadership and the president's leadership made a lot of executive branch changes. There was some energy deregulation done in the big, beautiful bill last summer. House Republicans have just started a budget reconciliation plan, budget reconciliation 2.0, if you will, up on Capitol Hill. What do you want to see them do further on energy policy in this next round of budget reconciliation, which, by the way, can pass the House and the Senate with Republican votes only? That's the reason they're doing it.
Well, a key thing is going to be permitting reform and just cutting this massive red tape. China, who we're in a competition with AI arms race, we're in a competition with them with critical minerals. We're in a competition with them on who can generate the most electricity to power, the future of an AI-driven economy, advanced manufacturing, manufacturing intelligence, all the things it requires energy. We were under the Biden administration. We were on a path of energy subtraction. It was not energy transition. They called it transition. There was no transition. It was we're going to shut down base load and replace it with intermittent, taxpayer-subsidized, highly unreliable wind and solar. And we'll, in the parts of the country where that progressive agenda on where extreme ideology around concern over 1 degree of climate change in the year 2100 was driving the policies of governors and state legislators. Those people have higher electric prices than the rest of the country. They have higher gas prices than the rest of the country. So pricing is not uniform across our nation because politics drives policy and policy drives pricing when it comes to energy. And we've had pro-energy, pro-growth states, and we've had anti-energy states. President Trump's trying to fix all that for everybody. We're certainly making progress. But relative to Congress, we've got to have permitting reform. We've got to get back to building great things in America and building them quickly. When the original Alaska pipeline was built, it's 800 miles long. It crosses 4 mountain ranges. It's been a godsend to national security and American economy, and it's been operating safely for over 50 years. That was built, Scott, in 28 months. When we took office a year ago, we met with people, and they said it's going to take us 5 to 10 years to get the permits. And, of course, China, last year built 93 gigawatts of coal in 1 year. They're building 86 gigawatts this year. 1 gigawatt runs Denver, runs all of Utah. I mean, it is. Right. We're up against a country that just decides to build stuff, and they do it. Their country is run by engineers. Our country, we're overwhelmed by lawyers. We graduated 36,000 lawyers last year in America and only 300 people in mining and metallurgical degrees, and that's why we're so far behind in the critical minerals thing. So part of President Trump's agenda and what we need the support from legislature is to get the permitting. We can protect the air, the water, the soil health. We can do all that, and it shouldn't take a decade or two to get a permit.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.